Good evening, dear listener. Tonight, we open the pages of one of the most enchanting tales ever told. But before we begin, if these quiet stories bring you peace, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. I'd truly love to know where you're listening from and what hour of the night finds you here. Our little circle now stretches across oceans, bound by stories and calm. So dim the lights, let the air grow still, and let your mind wander gently with me into tonight's story. Luck may lie in a pin. Let me tell you a story about something everyone believes in, but few can explain. About luck. Some call it fortune, others destiny, others God's smile. Whatever name we give it, we all know what it feels like when it comes. That mysterious turning of the wind that makes things go right. Some people live their whole lives under its steady sun. Others catch only a single glimmer of it in their youth, or in an hour of need. And then there are those who wait and wait, thinking luck has forgotten them, until suddenly, when they least expect it, it arrives, quiet as a bird landing on a windowsill. For one way or another, luck visits us all. Now, everyone knows that it is God who places each child upon its mother's lap. Sometimes, that lap belongs to a lady in a great house, surrounded by velvet curtains and chandeliers. Sometimes it belongs to a mother who sings while she works at her spinning wheel in a humble cottage. And sometimes the cradle is nothing more than a fold in a traveler's cloak laid upon the grass, beneath the open sky, where the wind hums its own lullaby. But wherever the child is placed, one thing never changes. Before God leaves, he slips a little gift into the world, a lucky piece. He doesn't leave it in the baby's hand. Oh no. He hides it somewhere in the wide world, in a place no one would think to look. It might be buried deep in a mountain, or resting quietly at the bottom of a river, or hanging, unseen, among the leaves of a tree that has never borne fruit. And he whispers, though few hear it, when the time is right, this shall be found. You see, every person's lucky piece waits for them, patient as the dawn. It may take years or half a lifetime, but it always appears. That is a comforting thought, isn't it? Sometimes the lucky piece takes the form of something simple, like an apple. That was the case for a man named Newton. The apple dropped into his lap, and with it fell the idea that changed the world. If you haven't heard that story, you must ask someone to tell it to you someday. But tonight, I shall tell you another. Not about an apple, but a pear. There once lived a man who was poor when he was born, poor when he grew up, and poor still when he took a wife. His trade was turning wood. He made handles for umbrellas and little rings to fasten them. His hands were clever. His heart was kind. But his work brought him little more than bread for the day. "I shall never find my luck," he used to say, half sighing, half smiling, as he turned the lathe and watched the shavings curl like ribbons to the floor. Yet this story is true as gospel, and I could tell you the very name of his town if it mattered. Around his small house grew wild serviceberry bushes, their fruit red and sour, but to him they were beautiful, a poor man's jewels. In his garden stood one pear tree, old and stubborn, that had never in its life borne fruit. But in that very tree, his fortune was waiting, hidden in the wood itself. One night, a storm swept over the land. The wind howled down the chimneys and tore tiles from the roofs. They said in the next town that the great mail coach had been lifted clean off the road, tossed like a toy. In the morning, the poor turner found that one of the largest branches of his pear tree had been wrenched away and lay across the garden. He dragged it into his workshop and, just for fun, decided to make something from it. A handful of wooden pears, some big, some small, some in between. "Well," he laughed, "for once my tree has borne fruit." And he gave them to his children to play with. Now, in the land where they lived, it rained often, and umbrellas were among the necessities of life. But the Turner's family owned only one, and that one was always breaking. When the wind blew hard, it turned inside out like a great black flower. Sometimes the ribs snapped, sometimes the fabric tore. Still, the turner could mend almost anything. What troubled him most was the little button and loop that kept the umbrella neatly closed. The button would always fly off and vanish the moment they thought the umbrella was safely tied. One rainy afternoon, it popped off again, and the turner searched everywhere. Between the cracks of the floor, he found one of the smallest pears his children had dropped. He rolled it in his fingers and said, "If I can't find the button, this will have to do." He drilled a hole through it, fastened a string, and tied it to the umbrella, and it worked better than any button he'd ever seen. The pear held fast, smooth and strong, even when the wind tugged and pulled. Sometime later, when he sent his usual bundle of umbrella handles and rings to the city, he tucked in a few of those tiny wooden pears as well. The merchant, amused, tried them on a handful of new umbrellas. Those umbrellas, among hundreds of others, were loaded onto a ship bound for America, that faraway land of new ideas and quick eyes. Now, Americans have a fine gift for for noticing what works. They saw at once that the little pears held better than any button before them. The merchant wrote back across the ocean, "From now on, send all umbrellas fastened with small wooden pears." And so, the turner had work. Real work. Thousands of pears had to be made for umbrellas that would cross the sea. Day and night his lathe hummed. His wife helped him polish the pears. His children packed them into boxes. And the money began to pour in, first in pennies, then in silver, then in shining gold. The whole pear tree, branch by branch, vanished into little round pieces of good fortune. When the last scrap of it was gone, the poor man was poor no longer. He built a great workshop with tall windows and hired other turners to help him. There was laughter in the house now, and bread enough for everyone, and even a little music at night. When people asked him what had changed his fate, he would smile and say, "My luck was in the pear tree all along." And sometimes, when he was in a joking mood, he'd add, "You never know. Good luck may lie in a pin." And so say I, the teller of this tale. For in Denmark, we have a saying that if you put a white pin in your mouth, you become invisible. But it must be a true, lucky piece, one that comes from God's own hand. I have such a pin. And whenever I travel to America, that new world across the wide, rolling sea, though so far, it always feels near to me, I carry that pin with me. Already my stories have crossed the ocean before I have. The wind carries them westward. The waves bear them like messengers. And perhaps, as you read this, I am already there in spirit, standing beside your fireside, hearing your laughter, seeing the light in your children's eyes. That light, that golden glimmer in a child's gaze, is the richest gold of all, the kind that rings like joy and never tarnishes. And so I end as I began. Luck comes to us all, perhaps in an apple or in a pear, or even in something as small and simple as a white pin, for truly, luck may lie in a pin. What the whole family said. What did the whole family say? Well, listen first to what little Marie said. It was little Marie's birthday, her own shining, perfect day. She awoke that morning with the kind of happiness that sparkles even before the eyes are fully open. The sun itself seemed to rise just for her, slipping through the curtains like golden ribbons that danced on her blanket. Mother kissed her cheeks and said, "Good morning, my birthday girl." And the house already hummed with quiet excitement. Soon her friends arrived, a troop of laughing children carrying bright ribbons and paper flowers. They filled the room with chatter and the scent of sweet cake. Marie wore her prettiest dress, the one her grandmother had sewn with loving fingers before she went to live with God in the bright and endless heaven. Each little stitch seemed to carry a memory of lullabies sung in the lamplight, of gentle hands brushing back Marie's curls. Today, that dress made her feel as though grandmother herself were near again, smiling from the soft blue sky above. On the table lay a festival of gifts, so many wonders that Marie hardly knew where to look first. There was a tiny kitchen with shining pans and spoons that clinked like silver music. There was a doll that could close her painted eyes and even say, "Ouch," when Marie mischievously pinched her round little stomach. And there was a picture book, a thick one, bound in red, with stories waiting to be discovered when Marie learned all the secrets of reading. "It's wonderful to be alive," said little Marie, her eyes wide as the morning. "Yes," said her godfather, who was sitting in the armchair by the window, smiling with a light that seemed to come from his very soul. "Life itself is the most beautiful of all fairy tales." In the next room, her brothers were listening. They were big boys, one 9, the other 11. And they, too, thought life was marvelous, though in their own proud, boyish way. To be alive, for them, was to have scuffed shoes and scraped knees, to run faster than the wind, to win snowball battles in the park, to collect bruises like medals. They loved getting good marks at school, building forts, reading about knights in armor, and bold explorers who vanished into unknown jungles. One of them, the younger, sighed and said that he feared by the time he was grown, there would be nothing left to explore, that men would have found every mountain peak and every secret river. Godfather laughed softly. "My dear boy," he said, "life itself is the great adventure. You need not travel to Africa to discover new worlds. Every heart, every day, holds its own wilderness. Above them, on the second floor, lived another branch of the family. Cousins, tall and self-assured, already far beyond the age of toys and storybooks. The eldest was 25 and soon to be married. The next, 20, dreamed of faraway cities and grand ideas. The youngest of the three, 17, played music that made the whole house hum. They were handsome, clever, and sure of themselves. "Look forward," they said. "The world is wide, the fences are falling, the future is ours to shape. Godfather is right. Life is the most wonderful fairy tale." Downstairs, father and mother listened to the laughter and smiled at each other. "How young they all are," said mother. "They believe the road ahead is smooth and shining." Father nodded. "Yes, but it is well that they do. The world has its storms and its thorns, but life goes on. and that too is a wonder." Then he added, almost to himself, "Life is a strange and beautiful adventure, one that always surprises us, even when we think we know the ending." Now, a little closer to heaven, up beneath the slanting roof, lived Godfather. He was old, yes, but youth glimmered in his smile. His room was like a small world in itself. Walls covered with pictures from far-off lands, shelves crowded with treasures gathered from the ends of the earth, seashells that whispered of distant oceans, fans painted with birds of paradise, a piece of coral as red as a dream, and coins that gleamed like captured moons. Even the windows were a marvel. Some panes were red, others golden, and when the sun shone through, the whole room turned into a cathedral of color. No matter how gray the day outside, through Godfather's glass, the world was always bright. A glass case in the corner held green plants, blooming even in winter, and beneath them swam goldfish with eyes like tiny suns. They glided silently, as if they knew ancient secrets too deep for words. A gentle scent of flowers lingered always in that room, and in the fireplace burned a fire that never seemed to die. "It refreshes old memories," said Godfather, and little Marie would stare into the flames where she fancied she saw faces, castles, forests, and angels hidden in the red glow. By the great bookcase stood the Book of Books, the Bible. Godfather often read from it, and when he did, his voice softened as though he were speaking to someone unseen. He told Marie that all the world's stories were there: the birth of creation, the flood, the kings of old, and the King of Kings. All that has happened and all that will happen is written here, he said. So much wisdom within one book. Everything a soul needs to ask or hope for lies in the prayer of our Father. It is the pearl of comfort from God, the drop of mercy he lays upon every cradle. He placed his hand gently on Marie's hair. "Keep it close, little one," he whispered. "If you carry it in your heart, you will never walk alone. Even when the road turns dark, the light will still shine within you." His eyes shone then, like candles reflected in water. Once, in his youth, those eyes had known tears. And that was good, too, he said quietly. For tears are the rain that makes the soul grow. There was a time when everything seemed dark and gray, when I could see no meaning in the world. But God sent light into the storm. Now I carry that sunshine with me. The older I grow, the clearer I see that He walks beside us always, through joy and sorrow alike, and that life in His hands becomes the most beautiful of all fairy tales. And so it will be, even beyond time. Little Marie looked up at him with a wonder that had no words. The fire crackled. The goldfish turned like living jewels. And from somewhere below came the laughter of her brothers. "Yes," she said softly, "it really is wonderful to be alive." And the others, her brothers, her parents, her cousins, even the grown-ups who often forgot to dream, said the same. But first of all, Godfather, who had traveled far and lived long, said it with the deepest truth. "Life," he murmured, with a smile that reached heaven, "is the most wonderful fairy tale of all." Great-grandfather. Great-grandfather was the kind of man people remembered even after a single meeting. There was something tender in his eyes, a deep calm in his voice, and an old-fashioned courtesy in every gesture he made. To us, his descendants, he was more than family. He was a bridge to the world that had come before. As far back as I can recall, he had always been father's father and mother's father at once, for he belonged to both sides of the family. Yet when my brother Frederick's little son was born, the title of great-grandfather was bestowed upon him like a medal of honor. He accepted it with a twinkle of pride and a quiet laugh. "That," he said, "is the highest promotion a man can ever hope for in this life." He loved each of us with warmth and patience, but he did not love our age. "The old days were the good days," he would often begin, leaning back in his chair, the firelight gleaming in his silver hair. They were quiet and honest and full of meaning. Nowadays, everything is noise and haste. People overturn everything for the sake of novelty. The young give orders to their elders, and even the kings are spoken of as if they were merely common men. Any scoundrel with a scrap of paper can blot the name of an honorable man. When he spoke like that, his cheeks would flush, his eyebrows knit together, and his hand would tremble a little on the armrest. But soon after, he would sigh, smile, and soften again. "Ah, well," he would add, "perhaps I am wrong. I belong to another century and cannot quite find a foothold in this one. May God forgive me if I judge too harshly, and may He guide us all toward what is right." Whenever great-grandfather told us stories of the old days, it was as though the air in the room changed. I would sit quietly, my eyes wide, and imagine the centuries peeling away like mist. I saw carriages with gilded wheels rolling down cobbled streets, banners fluttering from guild halls, and processions of craftsmen marching with drums and trumpets. I could almost hear the laughter from Christmas feasts long ago, when men and women in velvet and lace played games of forfeit by candlelight. He did not hide the darker sides of those times. He told us about the rack and the wheel, about kings who tortured and burned. And yet, even those horrors seemed wrapped in a strange majesty when he spoke of them. They belonged to an age when courage and cruelty went hand in hand, an age of splendor and suffering. And then he would grow gentler again and tell us of brighter moments, of the day when the Danish nobility freed the peasants, and when the crown prince put an end to the slave trade. Frederick, my eldest brother, would always interrupt him at such moments. They were barbarous times, great-grandfather, he'd say. We're better off now. Thank heaven we've left that all behind. It shocked me every time. To contradict great-grandfather seemed almost sacrilegious. But Frederick was fearless with his opinions. He was brilliant, too, the pride of our household, already working beside father in the company and destined to be made partner soon. He had a sharp mind for science and progress, and though great-grandfather often scolded him, I could tell he admired him deeply. They argued constantly, the old world and the new, seated across from one another. Yet in some secret way, they needed each other. The human race grows cleverer, great-grandfather would sigh, but not kinder. We build faster ships and deadlier weapons, all to destroy what God has made. That is the price of progress, Frederick would answer. If men fight, let them fight with precision. The sooner the blood is shed, the sooner peace returns. Efficiency saves lives, not morality. One evening, Frederick told a story that stayed with us all. In a certain small country, he said, the great clock on the town hall kept the time for everyone. It was imperfect, sometimes running fast, sometimes slow, but people still set their days by its chime. Then came the railroads, with their timetables and their fatal precision. At the new station, a clock was installed that matched the sun to the second. Soon, everyone followed that one instead, and the mayor's old clock fell silent. I laughed, but great-grandfather did not. He grew thoughtful, even sorrowful. There is wisdom in that tale, he murmured. It reminds me of my parents' old Bornholm clock, with its heavy lead weights. It did not always run true, yet it measured out our lives faithfully enough. We trusted its face and never doubted the hands that moved upon it. So it was with government and faith in my youth. People believed in the great clock of society and never questioned its works. But now, every wheel, every spring, lies exposed behind glass. We study the mechanism, argue over every motion, and lose our peace in the process. That, he said, is the weakness of this age. too much seeing, too little believing. The two of them would debate far into the night, their voices rising and falling like the ticking of unseen clocks. Then came the day when Frederick was to sail for America. It was for business, but to great-grandfather, it felt like exile. "The world is wide," he said softly, holding Frederick's hands, "and so are the hearts of those who love you. But may God carry you safely across that ocean." Frederick laughed. "You shall hear from me every fortnight, and faster still by telegraph. Time shrinks for those who understand how to use it." And indeed, when he reached England, a telegraph arrived before his letter could even be written. A few days later, another came from New York. "What a divine invention this is," great-grandfather exclaimed, tears glistening in his eyes. "Truly, the Lord has blessed our age with wonders." He kissed me on the forehead when I proudly repeated what Frederick had told me, that the principle of the telegraph had been discovered first in our own country. "Yes," he said, "and I once met the man whose eyes first saw that truth, eyes as bright and innocent as yours." I shook his hand. A month later came another letter. Frederick was engaged to a young lady, lovely and kind. He enclosed her photograph, a marvel in itself. We gathered around it in awe, examining her face with a magnifying glass. "How lifelike she seems," great-grandfather whispered. "Now I shall know her when she enters the room." But the meeting nearly never happened. Their ship, bound for Copenhagen, was caught in a violent storm off the coast of Jutland. The waves were monstrous, the night without stars. Yet from the shore, rescuers fired rockets that carried ropes to the stranded vessel. One by one, the passengers were brought to safety in the lifebuoy, Frederick's bride among them. By dawn, every soul was saved. We were still asleep in Copenhagen when it happened. Only at breakfast did rumors of the wreck reach us. Our hearts froze with fear. And then, within the hour, a telegram arrived. "Safe. Both of us. Home. Soon." Tears ran down great-grandfather's cheeks. That very day, he donated $200 toward the monument of Hans Christian Ørsted, the man who had unveiled the laws that made the telegraph possible. "For once," Frederick said, when he returned with his wife, "old times and new agree." And great-grandfather smiled, resting his trembling hands upon theirs. "Yes," he whispered, "may the old clock and the new one keep time together for a little while longer." The most incredible thing, in a distant kingdom where imagination was cherished almost as much as gold, the king made a peculiar decree. He announced that whoever could perform the most incredible thing would win the hand of his only daughter, and with her, half of his vast and glittering realm. It was an invitation to glory, madness, and mischief all at once, and it set every heart in motion. Young men and old men, scholars and fools, all began to plot and to dream. Each believed that his own idea would astonish the world. One man starved himself into a living skeleton to prove endurance. Another ate until he burst, claiming to show the limits of appetite. A third drank so deeply that he never rose again. Even the street boys caught the fever, practicing ridiculous tricks, trying to spit over their own shoulders and catch it again, believing such foolishness to be the most incredible thing. At last, the day of exhibition arrived. The entire city gathered in the King's Square, where a grand hall had been built for the occasion. Banners fluttered, trumpets sounded, and a panel of judges was appointed, ranging from 3-year-olds with round, astonished eyes to gray-haired elders who had long ceased to be amazed by anything. One by one, contestants presented their wonders: painted illusions, impossible machines, strange musical instruments, and spectacles of fire and mirrors. Yet when all had been shown, the crowd's murmur became a hush. For before them stood a great hall clock, unlike any clock ever seen. Its maker, a modest young craftsman, had spent years at his bench shaping it with care and reverence. On the outside, it gleamed like gold, carved with vines, angels, and scenes of time's eternal dance. But it was the inside, the living heart of it, that drew every gaze. When the clock struck, its doors opened, and out came little moving figures, alive with motion and song. Each hour revealed a different world, a miniature play of history and faith. When it struck 1, Moses appeared upon the mountain, chiseling the first great commandment into stone. There is but one true God. At 2, Adam and Eve came forth in the innocence of Eden, unashamed and free beneath the flowering trees. At 3, the 3 wise men arrived from distant lands, their robes dusted with sand, their hands bearing gifts of myrrh and gold. When 4 sounded, the seasons walked out in solemn grace, spring with a branch of green beech and a cuckoo perched upon it, summer with a grasshopper on a sheaf of wheat, autumn carrying an empty stork's nest, for the birds had flown, and winter with his tame crow, croaking old tales by a stove. At 5, the 5 senses paraded by. Sight was a man making spectacles, hearing, a noisy coppersmith, smell, a flower girl with violets in her hair, taste, a cheerful cook, and feeling, a veiled mourner trailing sorrow to the floor. When 6 struck, a gambler threw dice. 6s, of course, the highest cast of all. At 7 came the 7 days of the week. Or were they the 7 deadly sins? No one could tell, for they wore masks that looked alike. At 8, monks appeared and chanted the evening hymn, filling the air with peace. At 9, the 9 muses danced in a circle. Astronomy and history, poetry and song, all whispering secrets to the stars. 10 o'clock brought Moses again, this time bearing all 10 commandments, shining with divine light. At 11, children danced from the doors and sang all the way to heaven. The clock struck 11, and then came 12, the solemn hour of night. Out marched the watchman with his spiked morning star, his lantern, and his hymn. 'Twas at the midnight hour our Savior he was born. As he sang, roses blossomed around him and unfolded into angelic faces with wings tinted like rainbows. The crowd trembled, some with awe, others with tears. Never had mortal eyes seen such craftsmanship, such wonder, such beauty. It was indeed, all agreed, the most incredible thing. The king smiled, the judges nodded, and the princess herself, though she said nothing, looked softly toward the humble craftsman who had created it. He was young, earnest, and kind, known to all as a dutiful son and a true friend. He had never sought glory, only to make something beautiful. Surely he was the one most worthy of her hand and of half the kingdom. So the day of judgment came. The princess sat upon a throne freshly stuffed with horsehair, which pricked and rustled beneath her. The hall glittered with silk and gold. The young craftsman stood before the court, radiant with quiet pride, as the crowd whispered blessings for him. Then, from the back of the hall, a rough voice thundered, "Hold your trumpets! You have not yet seen the most incredible thing." A tall, bony man strode forward, eyes burning, an axe in his hand. Before anyone could move, he swung the blade. One blow, then another, and the magnificent clock shattered into ruin. Wheels rolled, gears flew, springs snapped, and scattered like frightened birds. "There," he shouted triumphantly. "I have done it. I have performed the most incredible thing, destroying what no other dared to destroy." The hall was stunned, but the judges, bound by the king's decree, looked at one another and murmured, "Indeed, to destroy such a masterpiece, is that not, in its way, the most incredible thing?" The crowd, easily swayed, echoed the judgment. And so the law was upheld. The man of destruction was declared the victor. trumpets blared. The princess, pale and silent, was given to him. The wedding bells rang, though none rang gladly. By candlelight, the church gleamed. The courtiers sang solemn hymns as the bride and groom walked down the aisle. The destroyer swaggered proudly, as if he had conquered the world. Then, silence. The candles flickered. A cold wind crept through the church. Suddenly, crash, the great doors burst open. Down the aisle rolled the broken gears, the bent rods, the scattered pieces of the ruined clock. They gathered together, moving as if alive, and reformed before the astonished eyes of all. A miracle, or justice, had come to life. For though a work of art can be broken, the spirit of art never dies. The clock stood whole again, luminous and breathing. It struck once, then twice, until it had spoken all 12 hours in a single rising chorus. Moses appeared, his face blazing, and hurled the stone tablets before the false bridegroom's feet. "You have broken my arms," he said, "and with them the law itself. Stand where you are." Adam and Eve came forth, pale and sorrowful. The wise men followed, shaking their heads. The seasons drifted in like ghosts of time. Each figure spoke, "Shame upon you, breaker of beauty." But shame touched him not. Finally, the night watchman returned, his star shining like judgment. He raised it high and struck the destroyer upon the brow. "A blow for a blow," he said. "Justice for art and for its maker." The man fell dead where he stood. The figures vanished. The gears faded like mist. Yet the church was filled with light. The candles flamed like lilies of fire. The gilded stars above cast down golden beams, and the organ played though no hands touched the keys. The people fell to their knees, crying, "We have seen the most incredible thing." Then the princess rose and spoke. "Summon the true master, the craftsman who made this wonder. Let him stand beside me. He shall be my husband and my lord." And so it was. The young man came forward, humble yet shining with quiet grace. The people rejoiced and blessed him, for none envied him. For the kingdom had learned that creation is greater than destruction, and that the spirit of art, pure, gentle, and eternal, can never be slain. And that, indeed, was the most incredible thing of all. The candles. Once upon a time, in a grand old house filled with polished furniture and heavy velvet curtains, there stood a big wax candle. It was tall and stately, molded in perfect symmetry, and it believed there was no finer candle in all the world. "I," said the wax candle proudly, "am made of the purest wax, cast in the finest mold. My flame burns clear and steady, brighter than any tallow or taper ever dreamed. I am meant for splendid rooms, for glittering chandeliers, for noble gatherings where people dress in silk and talk of art and music. That is the world I belong to." A small tallow candle stood nearby on the kitchen shelf. It was humbler in shape and a bit uneven along its sides, but it listened politely and smiled. "What a delightful life you must have," said the tallow candle. "I am only made of tallow, plain and simple. Just a kitchen dip. But still, I was dipped 8 times to make me thick and strong. The little tapers are dipped only twice, and they burn out before the hour is gone. I'm grateful for what I am. Of course," it added, "it would be fine to be born of wax and molded so handsomely. But one cannot choose his birth, can he? You shine in parlors. I serve in kitchens. Yet the kitchen is not such a poor place either. All the food that keeps the household alive comes from there." The wax candle gave a lofty flicker. "Food," he said disdainfully. "There are more refined things than food. I belong to high company, where there is laughter, music, and the glitter of silver and glass. Indeed, tonight I shall shine at a grand ball. All my family have been invited. We will make the chandeliers blaze like a crown of stars." Even as he spoke, the maid came to fetch all the wax candles from the drawer. Off they went in a polished tray, tall and gleaming, proud to fulfill their noble purpose. But the tallow candle was not left forgotten. The mistress of the house entered the kitchen with her little daughter beside her. She saw a poor boy waiting by the door, holding a basket of potatoes and a few apples she had given him. "And here's a candle for you too, my little friend," said the lady kindly. "Your mother can use it when she works late at night." At those words, the little daughter clapped her hands. "We're staying up late tonight, too, Mama," she cried. "There's to be a ball, and I shall wear my big red ribbon." Her eyes sparkled with joy, brighter than any flame. The tallow candle thought, no light in the world could shine as beautifully as a happy child's face. Soon the candle found itself in the basket among the potatoes, with the lid shut tight. "Where can he be taking me?" it wondered. No doubt to a poor home where there is not even a brass candlestick for me to stand in, while the wax candles sit in silver and see the fine people dance. I shall burn in some dark room. But this is the fate of tallow. We are born to serve the humble. He was right. The boy carried the basket to a low, small dwelling across the street from the grand house. Inside lived a widow and her 3 little children. The room was low-ceilinged and poor, but neat and clean. When the widow saw the candle, she said, "God bless our kind neighbor. This good light will help me work far into the night." She struck a match and lit the candle. "Phut fie," it sputtered. "What a dreadful smell," the candle thought. Would they dare use such a match for the wax candle over there in the great house? Yet at that very moment, the wax candles were being lit too. The chandeliers blazed, carriages rolled to the door, and music filled the street. The tallow candle could almost hear the violins. "Now the ball begins," it murmured sadly. But then he remembered the bright-eyed little girl with her red ribbon and smiled through his own flame. "Perhaps," he thought, "I shall see such joy again." The smallest of the poor children clambered up on a chair and put her little arms around her brother and sister. "Guess what?" she whispered. "Tonight, we're going to have warm potatoes." Her eyes shone with excitement. The candle beamed back at her with a soft glow, as if sharing her happiness. It thought, maybe joy does not depend on chandeliers. After all, the table was spread, and the family ate. Oh, how good the simple food tasted! There was even an apple for each child. The youngest folded her hands and said her prayer. "Now thanks, dear Lord, I give to thee that thou again hast filled me. Amen." Then she looked up and asked, "Didn't I say it nicely, Mother?" "Hush, my child," the mother said gently. "Just thank the Lord from your heart." After supper, the children were kissed and tucked into bed. The mother stayed awake, sewing by the candle's light to earn their bread for another day. Across the street, the wax candles burned in splendor above the dancing guests. But outside, the same quiet stars looked down on both houses, the rich and the poor, with equal kindness. "This has been a good evening," thought the tallow candle. Perhaps the wax candle shines brighter, but can he have seen anything lovelier than this? He remembered the 2 little girls, one with her red ribbon, one whispering over warm potatoes. Their faces, so full of innocent joy, were alike in happiness. And as the tallow candle burned lower, he shed gentle drops of melted tallow like tears, tears of contentment. "Yes," he thought as his flame waned, "light is light, whether it glitters in silver or glows in humble clay, and happiness, wherever it appears, shines with the same holy brightness." Dance, dance, doll of mine. Yes, this is a song for very small children, declared Aunt Mal, her spectacles glinting as she folded her knitting and looked over them with solemn dignity. As much as I should like to, I cannot possibly follow this foolish dance, doll of mine. Nonsense verse. It makes no sense at all. But little Amelie could. Indeed, she understood it with her whole tiny heart, for she was only 3 years old, and the world still spoke to her in the language of dolls, dreams, and songs. She played with her dolls every day and brought them up, as she proudly said, to be as wise as Aunt Mal herself. Though perhaps they were wiser, for they listened patiently and never contradicted her. In that same house, there lived a young student, a thin, kind-eyed fellow who came each afternoon to help Amelie's brothers with their Latin and arithmetic. He had a sad voice and a curious way of speaking, as though every word carried a secret joke. He would often pause in his lessons, turn toward Amelie and her doll family seated nearby, and say something that made no sense to the grown-ups, but perfect sense to her. Aunt Mal disapproved entirely. "That young man," she would whisper, "has no notion how to speak to children. All that fanciful talk. How can a child's small head possibly grasp it?" But Amelie did grasp it. She listened wide-eyed, her lips parted in delight. She thought he was the most marvelous man in the world, far better company than the dull gentleman who came to drink tea with Aunt Mal on Sundays. One day, the student brought a little sheet of paper, folded twice, and smelling faintly of ink and violets. "I've written a song," he told her, "for you and your dolls. It's about dancing, because dolls, you know, dance best when no one is looking." He bent down and whispered, "You must promise to teach it to them faithfully." Amelie promised, very solemnly indeed. And that evening, she stood before her 3 dolls, the 2 new ones from Christmas, a little lady doll and a gentleman doll, and the oldest of them all, poor Lise Moer, who had seen better days, and began to sing the song the student had taught her. "Dance, dance, doll of mine. Girl doll's dress is very fine. Boy doll is a dandy too. He wears gloves and hat and shoe. White pants, blue coat him adorn. On his toe he has a corn. He is fine and she is fine. Dance, dance, doll of mine." Old doll's name is Lise Moer. She is from the year before. Hair is new. It's made of flax. Forehead polished up with wax. Young again, not old and done. Come along, my cherished one. Let us dance a fast gavotte. To watch it is worth a lot. Dance, dance, doll of mine. Watch your steps and keep in line. 1 foot forward, watch your feet. Dancing makes you slender, sweet. Bow and twist and turn around. That will make you hale and sound. What a sight it is to see. You are doing fine, all 3. When she finished, she clapped her hands in delight, for she was quite sure the dolls had truly heard her. Their glass eyes shone brighter, and their stiff little arms seemed to tremble with secret life. "They understand it," cried Amelie. "They really do." And perhaps they did. For who can say what dolls think when the nursery grows quiet and the moon looks in through the curtains? The student, when he heard her sing it the next day, laughed softly and said, "Splendid! You've given the song a soul. Now the words are alive." But Aunt Mal only shook her head. "A song for babies and fools," she said, setting down her teacup with a sigh. "When one has crossed the fence of youth, such nonsense loses all meaning." "Perhaps," the student replied with a smile. "The fence keeps more things out than it keeps in." Amelie didn't care about fences. She sang the song again that night, and the next, and every day afterward. She sang it to her dolls in sunshine and in candlelight, until even the parlor clock seemed to tick in rhythm with the tune. Sometimes she imagined the dolls whispering together after she fell asleep, repeating the words in their tiny porcelain voices. "Dance, dance, doll of mine." Years later, when Amelie grew tall and her dolls lay silent in a trunk beneath the stairs, Aunt Mal's voice would still echo faintly in her memory. Silly song. But Amelie knew better. She remembered how it had once made her little world sparkle with life, how a kind student had believed that even a toy could dance if a child loved it enough. And so, though the song might have been written for very small children, it carried within it something far greater, a small truth that even Aunt Mal, for all her wisdom, had forgotten. For that is how we know the song at all. Because little Amelie, long ago, sang it so earnestly that the tune never died. It drifted from her nursery into ours, soft as a memory, bright as the sound of a child's laughter, and still it whispers when the candles burn low. Dance, dance, doll of mine. The Great Sea Serpent, far out beneath the wide blue ocean, where sunlight drifts like molten gold through the clear green depths, there once lived a very small sea fish of fine descent. What name it bore, I cannot recall. The learned naturalists may tell you, for they are well acquainted with such matters. But it was a delicate little creature, nimble of fin and quick of eye, belonging to an ancient and honorable family of the deep. It was not alone in the world. Indeed, it had no fewer than 1,800 brothers and sisters. all of them born at the same moment and of the same tiny size. None of them had ever known father or mother, for the sea keeps her secrets well. They were children of the vast element itself, and therefore they learned early to fend for themselves. Yet they did not grieve, for youth in the ocean is full of play, and the world is wide and shining. They darted here and there through the cool, transparent halls of their water kingdom, finding joy in movement itself, and drinking, if one may so call it, from the endless cup of the sea. Their food floated to them as if by miracle, invisible motes of life that the currents carried, and each little fish thought the ocean had been made especially for him. Not one of them reflected upon the meaning of existence. They were alive, and that was happiness enough. Above them, the sun poured down its long golden lances into the depths, lighting the water until it shone like liquid crystal. Strange shapes drifted through that brightness, creatures of every pattern and proportion, some so enormous that the whole swarm of the little family might have vanished into a single gulp of their cavernous mouths. Yet none of the small fry trembled. Never had one among them been devoured. And youth, whether in air or water, cannot fear what it has not known. So they swam together in glad disorder, forming silver ribbons that wound and turned as prettily as the mackerel or the herring in their shimmering shoals. One quiet morning, when all 1,800 were gliding side by side in cheerful idleness, a sound like distant thunder came trembling through the waters above them. Down from the lighted surface sank something long, black, and heavy. A thing without end, it seemed, descending with such force that the very sea quivered. Where it struck, it crushed the little ones by the dozen, bending and twisting as it fell, stretching farther and farther until it seemed to have no limit at all. Panic seized the dwellers of the deep. Great fish and small fled in terror. The eels knotted themselves. The snails withdrew into their shells. The crabs scuttled backward into the sand. The monstrous shape sank lower and lower, coiling itself through the dim green twilight, until it rested at last upon the bottom. None had ever seen its like. It looked to them as if some endless sea serpent, black as night, had suddenly fallen from the sky. And what was it, truly? We, who live on the dry land and read our newspapers, can answer. It was no serpent of fable, but the great telegraph cable that men were laying between Europe and America. Yet the ocean folk knew nothing of that. Among them, there was fear and confusion, such as the sea had not known since Noah's flood. The flying fish burst through the surface into the air, glittering like silver arrows in the sunlight. The blowfish darted away with the speed of a cannonball, puffing himself in fright. The shy ones sought refuge in the deep mud, reaching the bottom long before the cable touched it. Koza and Flounder, who lived in quiet content down there, were startled out of their calm, while starfish, in their terror, turned their stomachs inside out, a trick which fortunately costs them no life. Lobsters left their shells behind. Crabs dropped their claws in their haste. It was chaos without end. When peace at last began to return, the 1,800 young ones were scattered far and wide. Never again would most of them meet, nor even know of each other's existence. Only 10 had kept together, and when the first trembling hours were past, curiosity awoke in them. They peered this way and that. They looked upward to the glittering roof of the sea and downward to the dim green floor. And there below, stretching as far as their eyes could see, they glimpsed the dreadful stranger lying motionless. That thing which had frightened every creature from the whale to the worm. It seemed thin, almost harmless, but who could tell how mighty it might become when stirred? So they kept their distance. "Let it lie where it lies," said the most cautious of them. "It concerns us not." But one, the smallest and perhaps the wisest, felt the old itch of wonder. "It came from above," he said, "and above one must go to learn its secret." So he swam upward alone, through widening rings of light, until he reached the calm surface, where the sea lies like a mirror under the sky. There he met a dolphin, that merry acrobat of the waves, who somersaults for sheer pleasure. Surely such a one must know what had happened, for his eyes are quick, and he travels far. Yet the dolphin only shook the water from his back, looked pleased with himself, and said nothing, for he had been thinking of his own leaps, not of what had fallen. Vanity keeps many a creature ignorant. Then the little fish turned to a seal who had just ducked down from a rock above. The seal, though fond of small fishes, was in good humor and polite, having lately dined. "Ah, yes," said he, "I know somewhat of that matter. Many a night have I lain on the shore, watching the doings of those cunning beings men call humans. They have strange ways. They weave traps for us and send ships across the sea, full of thunder and smoke. Of late, they have been busy with a long creature of their own making, the one you saw. They dragged him out from their land, coiled him like a snake, and laid him on their ships to bear him over the waves. I saw them struggle, for he was heavy and restless, yet they mastered him at last and sank him into the sea. There he lies now, resting his tired length along the bottom. Mark me, he will grow fat again in time, and then woe to us all. For I think he is none other than the Great Sea Serpent, of which men have spoken in fear since the world was young. And with a satisfied snort, the seal dove away. "How much he knows," said the little fish in awe. "But I wonder if it is all true." "We shall never find out," replied the others, and turned their tails. "I shall," said the smallest, and down he plunged into the great green stillness. Once more, he swam long and far. The farther he went, the vaster the world seemed. Shoals of herring glimmered like sheets of moving silver. Mackerel flashed blue and green, as if each bore a spark of the sky upon its side. Jellyfish floated like trembling flowers of glass. Forests of seaweed waved gently in the tide. At last, in the deep shadow where no sunlight reached, he saw what seemed a long black ribbon. But when he drew near, he found it was not the cable, but the broken hull of a great ship that had sunk long ago. Within its shattered ribs, he saw two pale shapes, a woman with her child clasped in her arms, drifting as if asleep. A tender fear seized the little fish. He did not know that they would never wake. Seaweed hung above them like garlands, and all was silent as a churchyard. Trembling, he fled from that mournful place. Not far away, he met a whale, a young one, yet vast as a mountain beside him. "Do not swallow me," cried the little fish. "I am smaller than a crumb and take delight in life." "What brings such a speck to this depth?" asked the whale, and so the fish told his tale. "Oh," laughed the giant, sending up a fountain as he rose for breath. "So that was what tickled my back the other day. I thought it a mast. Well, I shall go and see. Follow if you dare." So they went, though the small one kept well behind, for the wake of a whale is like a tempest. They met a shark and an old sawfish on the way, both eager to behold the new monster. Then came a catfish boasting of his strength. "If it be no thicker than a cable, I shall bite it in two," he bragged, showing his 6 rows of teeth. Presently, the whale cried, "There it lies!" But it was only a giant eel. "If the stranger be longer than I," said the eel darkly, "there will be trouble." "Indeed there will," said the shark, and on they all swam. Soon a shadow loomed before them, an ancient whale, so overgrown with weeds and shells that he looked like a floating island. "Come with us," they called. "A new creature has come to dwell in our sea." But the old one sighed, "Leave me be. I am sick. Birds peck at my back. I carry their bones as trophies. Let me rest." "Sickness," scoffed the shark. "No fish is sick." "You are wrong," groaned the Old One. "The eel has sores, the carp has smallpox, and we all have worms." But none cared to listen. Curiosity drew them on. At last they reached the resting place of the telegraph cable. There it lay, stretched across valleys and reefs, beneath coral forests and fields of sand, joining two worlds. Over it swept the currents, around it swarmed the life of the sea. Worms crept, sponges grew, strange blue creatures nibbled at it. Yet through that silent body passed the thoughts of men, messages flying swifter than the wings of light itself. "What manner of beast is this?" murmured the fishes. The shark threatened it with his teeth. The swordfish brandished his saw. The polyp groped it with soft arms. "It has no scales," said he. "It bears no young." "It is longer than I," cried the eel, "but less supple." The whale demanded speech of it, but the cable answered not, for its voice was elsewhere, above, between continents, whispering human words through the dark. Then the shark, in wrath, rushed forward, and the swordfish, in his excitement, stabbed the shark himself. There was a whirl of mud and fins, a biting and brawling of monsters. The cable lay unmoved, fulfilling its quiet duty, as wise beings do. Night fell, but the sea was bright with its million lamps, the tiny glowing creatures that light the deep. And still the question passed from mouth to mouth. What is it? What is it not? Then came a sea cow, ancient and solemn, draped in seaweed, like a queen. "Listen to me," she said. "All that falls from above is dead. That thing is but a toy of men, a trap, perhaps. Let it rot. Everything from the upper world turns to dust." The others agreed at once, for it is easy to follow those who speak loudly. Only the little fish thought differently. "Perhaps," he whispered, "it is the most wonderful creature of all, and we, who know the truth, may say he was not so far wrong. For that long black serpent of the sea, born not of flesh but of thought, is indeed the marvel of our age, the Midgard snake of the modern world, encircling the earth with living messages, binding nation to nation in the twinkling of an eye. Through it flow both wisdom and folly, kindness and deceit, good and evil alike, for such is the nature of all human things. Deep below the storms, amid coral gardens and drowned ships, it rests, silent, tireless, and alive with the restless spirit of mankind. The gardener and the noble family, about 4 miles beyond the city, where the hills began to soften into fields and the roads were bordered with tall elms, there stood an ancient manor house. Its walls were thick and gray, covered here and there with moss that time itself seemed to have painted on with a patient hand. Towers rose from the corners, their pointed gables sharp against the blue of summer skies. The windows were deep set, their panes glimmering like old glass found at the bottom of the sea. In that venerable house, shaded by chestnuts and surrounded by meadows, lived, though only in the warmth of summer, a noble and wealthy family, descended from many generations of landed gentry, of all the estates they possessed. This was the jewel, the heart of their inheritance. It was said that when the manor was first built, its stones had come from the finest quarries in Denmark, and the carpenters who shaped its beams had sung hymns as they worked. On the outside, it looked almost as if it had been newly cast in some giant's foundry. So strong and perfect was its form. Within, it was arranged for comfort and noble ease. Over the grand arched gate, the family coat of arms was cut in stone, and about it twined roses, white, red, and golden. Like a fragrant crown for the house itself, the courtyard, soft with grass, was enclosed by a row of thorn bushes, red and white together, and near them bloomed many rare flowers, even beyond the borders of the greenhouse. The air always carried the perfume of blossoms mixed with the faint sweetness of ripe fruit and cut hay. The family possessed, too, a gardener of uncommon skill and devotion, a man who seemed to speak the silent language of plants. To see his work was a joy. The flower garden shone like a woven tapestry of colors. The orchard bowed beneath its promise of fruit. The vegetable beds were as orderly as the shelves of an apothecary. Yet, among all the splendor, a part of the old garden remained. 2 great trees and a few box hedges clipped into crowns and pyramids. These ancient hedges had been planted in the days when powdered wigs were worn, and lovers strolled beneath the moonlight with songs and sighs. Behind them stood the 2 old trees, black and vast, whose branches were nearly always bare. They looked as though storms had flung clods of earth into their limbs. But those dark shapes were nests, hundreds of them. For there, from time beyond memory, lived a whole colony of rooks and crows, screaming, quarreling, nesting, and returning again every spring. It was a regular bird city in the air, older than the manor itself. The people below, though they built the house, were to the birds only temporary tenants. The true lords of the place were feathered, and they yielded nothing to human claims. Often, when the guns were fired to scare them away, the black clouds of wings would rise in fright, crying, "Wreck! Wreck!" so loudly that even the gardener felt the echo in his bones. He often urged the noble family to have the trees felled, for they were ugly and robbed the flower beds of sun. "If we remove them," he said, "the birds will find another forest for their racket, and the garden will be the better for it." But the family would not hear of it. "No, Larsen," said the master kindly. "Those trees are part of the old times. They have stood longer than our own family has owned the land, and the birds have inherited them by right. Let them stay. They belong to the manor as much as we do." Larsen, that was the gardener's name, though it matters little to the story, bowed and said no more. He was a faithful man, humble and industrious. The family knew his worth, though they sometimes wounded him without meaning to. They would praise his work, yet add, "Still, we have seen finer fruits and brighter flowers elsewhere." Those words stung him, for he worked with all his heart. One day, they called him to the hall and told him of a dinner they had attended at a friend's estate. There, they had tasted apples and pears of such rare flavor that all the guests had spoken of them. The fruits might be foreign, they said, but could surely be grown here if slips could be found. "Go to the fruit dealer in town," they said, "and discover whence those apples and pears came. If possible, order slips for grafting." Now the fruit dealer was no stranger to Larsen, for he was the very man who bought the manor's surplus fruit. When the gardener entered and asked after the famed apples and pears, the dealer smiled. "Why, they came from your own garden, Master Larsen," said he, showing the fruit itself. Larsen's heart leapt. He hurried home and told the noble family the good news, but they shook their heads. "Impossible. Bring us proof." So he brought a written guarantee, signed and sealed. Then amazement filled the house. From that day onward, great bowls of those same apples and pears graced their table. Bushels were sent to friends, even across the sea. "Still," said the family, "this has been a particularly fine season. Everyone's trees have done well." Larsen said nothing, but smiled inwardly. Not long after, the family dined at court and tasted melons so exquisite that the king himself praised them. "Larsen," they said upon their return, "you must obtain seeds from the royal gardener." "The court gardener?" said Larsen, bright-eyed. "But he had his melon seeds from me." "Indeed," said the master. "Then he must know better how to perfect them, for these were fit for princes." "Well," said Larsen quietly, "he had bad luck this year, and when he saw how fine ours were, he begged 3 for the royal table." The family laughed in disbelief, but again he brought proof in writing. The melons from their own greenhouse had graced the king's feast. The noble family blushed with pride, though they said, "Let us hope Larsen does not grow too proud." But Larsen's pride was not boastful. It was the joy of one who loves his work. From that year forth, he labored even harder, trying each season to produce something new, finer, more perfect. Yet when his strawberries matched those of any other gardener, they said, "Ah, but your first apples were better." When a single crop failed, radishes, perhaps, they spoke only of the failure. "It didn't go well this year, little Larsen," they would say, almost with relief, as though the balance of the world were restored. Twice each week, Larsen brought fresh flowers to the drawing room. His arrangements were so full of harmony that even mousseline de colors seemed bright beside one another. "You have a gift, Larsen," said the lady of the house, "a gift from the Lord, not of your own making." He bowed, and his heart was quiet. One morning, he brought a great crystal bowl. Upon the surface of the water floated a broad green leaf, and on it lay a blue flower, large and luminous as a star. The family gathered round. "The lotus of Hindustan," they exclaimed. They placed it first in the sunlight, then in the evening lamps, admiring it anew each time. Even the young princess, learned in botany and kind of heart, called it marvelous. The family, proud of the praise, sent the flower to her as a gift. When they went to fetch another to replace it, none could be found. The greenhouse, the garden, every corner was searched. At last, they called Larsen. "Where did you find that blue lotus?" "In the vegetable garden," said he, smiling. "It is only the blossom of the artichoke. But look at it. How beautiful it is, though born of common soil." "You should have told us," cried the family. "You have made us ridiculous before the princess, showing her a kitchen herb as a rare exotic." And they ordered the flower removed at once. They even wrote to the princess to confess the mistake and to say that the gardener had been reprimanded. But the princess answered gently, "He showed you beauty where you would not have looked for it. I thank him. As long as the artichokes bloom, I shall have one placed daily in my chamber." And so it was. When the next flower came, the family admired it again and said, "Yes, it is very fine. Larsen does have good taste. Like a spoiled child, he loves to be praised." That autumn, a mighty storm rose over the hills. The wind came roaring through the woods, tearing up even the oldest trees by their roots. The manor shook, the windows rattled, and all night the crows and rooks screamed and beat their wings against the glass. By morning, the two ancient trees were gone, lying broken in the grass. "Now you must be pleased, Larsen," said the master sadly. "The storm has taken your wish upon itself. The trees are gone, the birds have flown, and with them all that was left of the olden days. Larsen bowed and said nothing. But in his mind, he saw what might take their place. Soon the wreckage was cleared, and he planted the ground anew. Where box hedges had stood, he set plants gathered from Denmark's own wild fields: ferns, coltsfoot, primroses, lilies of the valley, and burdock, each in the soil and light it loved best. The garden became a living hymn to the land itself. In the center, he raised a tall flagpole, and there the red Dannebrog fluttered proudly. Beside it stood another pole, twined in summer, with hop tendrils heavy with cones, and in winter hung with sheaves of oats for the birds, so that even at Christmas time, life and kindness should not perish from the garden. "Our good Larsen is growing sentimental," said the family, "but he means well, and he is faithful." At the turn of the year, one of the city's illustrated papers printed an engraving of the old manor, showing the flag, the hop pole, and the oat sheaves. "A beautiful thought," said the paper, "to preserve this kindly custom in so ancient a home." "Everything Larsen does," murmured the family, half proud, half envious. "They make a stir about. He is a fortunate man. We might almost be proud to have him." But they were not. They were good people, yet of the sort who must always be the masters. And that, perhaps, was best, for the world needs both kinds: the quiet Larsens who labor, and the noble families who, without knowing it, are taught humility by them. And that is the story of the gardener and the old manor. Now you may think upon it. What old Johanne told: "The wind whistles in the old willow tree. It is as if one were hearing a song. The wind sings it. The tree tells it. If you do not understand it, then ask old Johanne in the poor house. She knows about it. She was born here in the parish. Many years ago, when the King's Highway still lay along here, the tree was already large and conspicuous. It stood, as it still stands, in front of the tailor's whitewashed timber house, close to the ditch, which then was so large that the cattle could be watered there, and where in the summertime the little peasant boys used to run about naked and paddle in the water. Underneath the tree stood a stone milepost cut from a big rock. Now it is overturned, and a bramble bush grows over it. The new King's Highway was built on the other side of the rich farmer's manor house. The old one became a field path. The ditch became a puddle overgrown with duckweed. If a frog tumbled down into it, the greenery was parted, and one saw the black water. All around it grew, and still grow, muscadonere, buckbean, and yellow iris. The tailor's house was old and crooked. The roof was a hotbed for moss and house leek. The dovecot had collapsed, and starlings built their nests there. The swallows hung nest after nest on the house gable and all along beneath the roof. It was just as if luck itself lived there, and once it had. Now, however, this was a lonely and silent place. Here in solitude lived weak-willed, poor Rasmus, as they called him. He had been born here. He had played here, had leaped across meadow and over hedge, had splashed as a child in the ditch, and had climbed up the old tree. The tree would raise its big branches with pride and beauty, just as it raises them yet. But storms had already bent the trunk a little, and time had given it a crack. Wind and weather have since lodged earth in the crack, and there grow grass and greenery. Yes, and even a little service berry has planted itself there. When in spring the swallows came, they flew about the tree and the roof and plastered and patched their old nests, while poor Rasmus let his nest stand or fall as it liked. His motto was, "What good will it do?" And it had been his father's too. He stayed in his home. The swallows flew away, but they always came back, the faithful creatures. The starling flew away, but it returned too, and whistled its song again. Once Rasmus had known how, but now he neither whistled nor sang. The wind whistled in the old willow tree. Then, just as it now whistles, indeed, it is as if one were hearing a song. The wind sings it, the tree tells it. And if you do not understand it, then ask old Johanne in the poorhouse. She knows about it. She knows about everything of old. She is like a book of chronicles, with inscriptions and old recollections. At the time, the house was new and good. The country tailor, Ivar Olsa, and his wife, Maren, moved into it. Industrious, honest folk, both of them. Old Johanne was then a child. She was the daughter of a wooden shoemaker, one of the poorest in the parish. Many a good sandwich did she receive from Maren, who was in no want of food. The lady of the manor house liked Maren, who was always laughing and happy and never downhearted. She used her tongue a good deal, but her hands also. She could sew as fast as she could use her mouth, and moreover, she cared for her house and children. There were nearly a dozen children, 11 altogether. The 12th never made its appearance. Poor people always have a nest full of youngsters, growled the master of the manor house. If one could drown them like kittens and keep only one or two of the strongest, it would be less of a misfortune. God have mercy, said the tailor's wife. Children are a blessing from God. They are such a delight in the house. Every child is one more Lord's Prayer. If times are bad and one has many mouths to feed, why then a man works all the harder and finds out ways and means honestly. Our Lord fails not when we do not fail. The lady of the manor house agreed with her. She nodded kindly and patted Marin's cheek. She had often done so, yes, and had kissed her as well. But that had been when the lady was a little child, and Marin her nursemaid. The two were fond of each other, and this feeling did not wane. Each year at Christmas time, winter provisions would arrive at the tailor's house from the manor house. A barrel of meal, a pig, 2 geese, a tub of butter, cheese, and apples. That was indeed an asset to the larder. Ivar Olsa looked quite pleased too, but soon came out with his old motto, "What good will it do?" The house was clean and tidy, with curtains in the windows and flowers as well, both carnations and balsams. A sampler hung in a picture frame, and close by hung a love letter in rhyme, which Marin Olsa herself had written. She knew how to put rhymes together. She was almost a little proud of the family name Olsa. It was the only word in the Danish language that rhymed with pølse, sausage. At least that's an advantage to have over other people, she said, and laughed. She always kept her good humor, and never said, like her husband, "What good will it do?" Her motto was, "Depend on yourself and on our Lord." So she did, and that kept them all together. The children thrived, grew out over the nest, went out into the world, and prospered well. Rasmus was the smallest. He was such a pretty child that one of the great portrait painters in the capital had borrowed him to paint from. And in the picture, he was as naked as when he had come into this world. That picture was now hanging in the king's palace. The lady of the manor house saw it and recognized little Rasmus, though he had no clothes on. But now came hard times. The tailor had rheumatism in both hands, on which great lumps appeared. No doctor could help him, not even the wise Stein, who herself did some doctoring. "One must not be downhearted," said Marin. "It never helps to hang the head. Now that we no longer have Father's 2 hands to help us, I must try to use mine all the faster. Little Rasmus, too, can use the needle." He was already sitting on the sewing table, whistling and singing. He was a happy boy. "But he should not sit there the whole day long," said the mother. "That would be a shame for the child. He should play and jump about too." The shoemaker's Johanne was his favorite playmate. Her folks were still poorer than Rasmus. She was not pretty. She went about barefooted, and her clothes hung in rags, for she had no one to mend them, and to do it herself did not occur to her. She was a child, and as happy as a bird in our Lord's sunshine. By the stone milepost, under the large willow tree, Rasmus and Johanne played. He had ambitious thoughts. He would one day become a fine tailor and live in the city, where there were master tailors who had 10 workmen at the table. This he had heard from his father. There he would be an apprentice, and there he would become a master tailor. And then Johanne could come to visit him. And if by that time she knew how to cook, she could prepare the meals for all of them and have a large apartment of her own. Johanna dared not expect that, but Rasmus believed it could happen. They sat beneath the old tree, and the wind whistled in the branches and leaves. It seemed as if the wind were singing and the tree talking. In the autumn, every single leaf fell off. Rain dripped from the bare branches. "They will be green again," said Mother Ulsa. "What good will it do?" said her husband. "New year, new worries about our livelihood." "The larder is full," said the wife. "We can thank our good lady for that. I am healthy and have plenty of strength. It is sinful for us to complain." The master and lady of the manor house remained there in the country over Christmas. But the week after the New Year, they were to go to the city, where they would spend the winter in festivity and amusement. They would even go to a reception and ball given by the king himself. The lady had bought 2 rich dresses from France. They were of such material, of such fashion, and so well sewn that the tailor's Marin had never seen such magnificence. She asked the lady if she might come up to the house with her husband, so that he could see the dresses as well. Such things had surely never been seen by a country tailor, she said. He saw them and had not a word to say until he returned home. And what he did say was only what he always said. "What good will it do?" And this time he spoke the truth. The master and lady of the manor house went to the city, and the balls and merrymaking began. But amid all the splendor, the old gentleman died, and the lady then, after all, did not wear her grand dresses. She was so sorrowful, and was dressed from head to foot in heavy black mourning. Not so much as a white tucker was to be seen. All the servants were in black. Even the state coach was covered with fine black cloth. It was an icy cold night. The snow glistened, and the stars twinkled. The heavy hearse brought the body from the city to the country church, where it was to be laid in the family vault. The steward and the parish bailiff were waiting on horseback with torches in front of the cemetery gate. The church was lighted up, and the pastor stood in the open church door to receive the body. The coffin was carried up into the chancel. The whole congregation followed. The pastor spoke, and a psalm was sung. The lady was present in the church, She had been driven there in the black draped state coach, which was black inside as well as outside. Such a carriage had never before been seen in the parish. Throughout the winter, people talked about this impressive display of grief. It was indeed a nobleman's funeral. One could well see how important the man was, said the village folk. He was nobly born, and he was nobly buried. What good will it do him, said the tailor. Now he has neither life nor goods. At least we have one of these. Don't speak such words, said Marin. He has everlasting life in the kingdom of heaven. Who told you that, Marin? Said the tailor. A dead man is good manure, but this man was too high-born to even do the soil any good. He must lie in a church vault. Don't speak so impiously, said Marin. I tell you again, he has everlasting life. Who told you that, Marin? Repeated the tailor, and Marin threw her apron over little Rasmus. He must not hear that kind of talk. She carried him off into the peat house and wept. The words you heard over there, little Rasmus, were not your father's. It was the evil one who was passing through the room and took your father's voice. Say your Lord's Prayer. We'll both say it. She folded the child's hands. Now I am happy again, she said. Have faith in yourself and in our Lord. The year of mourning came to an end. The widow lady dressed in half mourning, but she had whole happiness in her heart. It was rumored that she had a suitor and was already thinking of marriage. Marin knew something about it, and the pastor knew a little more. On Palm Sunday, after the sermon, the banns of marriage for the widow lady and her betrothed were to be published. He was a wood carver or a sculptor. Just what the name of his profession was, people did not know. At that time, not many had heard of Thorvaldsen and his art. The future master of the manor was not a nobleman, but still he was a very stately man. His was one profession that people did not understand, they said. He cut out images, was clever in his work, and young and handsome. What good will it do? Said Tailor Olsa. On Palm Sunday, the banns were read from the pulpit. Then followed a psalm and communion. The tailor, his wife, and little Rasmus were in church. The parents received communion, while Rasmus sat in the pew, for he was not yet confirmed. Of late, there had been a shortage of clothes in the tailor's house. The old ones had been turned and turned again, stitched and patched. Now they were all three dressed in new clothes, but of black material, as at a funeral. They were dressed in the drapery from the funeral coach. The man had a jacket and trousers of it, Marin a high-necked dress, and Rasmus a whole suit to grow in, until confirmation time. Both the outside and inside cloth from the funeral carriage had been used. No one needed to know what it had been used for before, but people soon got to know. The wise woman, Stein, and a couple of other equally wise women, who did not live on their wisdom, said that the clothes would bring sickness and disease into the household. One cannot dress oneself in cloth from a funeral carriage without riding to the grave. The wooden shoemaker's Johanne cried when she heard this talk, and it so happened that the tailor became more and more ill from that day on, until it seemed apparent who was going to suffer that fate, and it proved to be so. On the first Sunday after Trinity, Tailor Ulsa died, leaving Maren alone to keep things together. She did, keeping faith in herself and in our Lord. The following year, Rasmus was confirmed. He was then ready to go to the city as an apprentice to a master tailor, not, after all, one with 10 assistants at the table, but with one. Little Rasmus might be counted as a half. He was happy, and he looked delighted indeed. But Johanne wept. She was fonder of him than she had realized. The tailor's wife remained in the old house and carried on the business. It was at that time that the new King's Highway was opened, and the old one, by the willow tree and the tailor's, became a field path, with duckweed growing over the water left in the ditch there. The milepost tumbled over, for it had nothing to stand for, but the tree kept itself strong and beautiful, the wind whistling among its branches and leaves. The swallows flew away, and the starlings flew away, but they came again in the spring. And when they came back the fourth time, Rasmus, too, came back to his home. He had served his apprenticeship, and was a handsome but slim youth. Now he would buckle up his knapsack and see foreign countries. That was what he longed for. But his mother clung to him. Home was the best place. All the other children were scattered about. He was the youngest, and the house would be his. He could get plenty of work if he would go about the neighborhood, be a traveling tailor, and so for a fortnight at this farm, and a fortnight at that. That would be traveling too. And Rasmus followed his mother's advice. So again, he slept beneath the roof of his birthplace. Again, he sat under the old willow tree and heard it whistle. He was indeed good-looking, and he could whistle like a bird and sing new and old songs. He was well liked at the big farms, especially at Klaus Hansen's, the second richest farmer in the parish. Els, the daughter, was like the loveliest flower to look at, and she was always laughing. There were people who were unkind enough to say that she laughed simply to show her pretty teeth. She was happy indeed, and always in the humor for playing tricks. Everything suited her. She was fond of Rasmus, and he was fond of her. But neither of them said a word about it, so he went about being gloomy. He had more of his father's disposition than his mother's. He was in a good humor only when Elsa was present. Then they both laughed, joked, and played tricks. But although there was many a good opportunity, and played tricks, but although there was many a good opportunity, he did not say a single word about his love. What good will it do, was his thought. Her parents look for profitable marriage for her, and that I cannot give her. The wisest thing for me to do would be to leave. But he could not leave. It was as if Else had a string fastened to him. He was like a trained bird with her. He sang and whistled for her pleasure and at her will. Johanne, the shoemaker's daughter, was a servant girl at the farm, employed for common work. She drove the milk cart in the meadow, where she and the other girls milked the cows. Yes, and she even had to cart manure when it was necessary. She never came into the sitting room and didn't see much of Rasmus or Elsa, but she heard that the two were as good as engaged. Now Rasmus will be well off, she said. I cannot begrudge him that. And her eyes became quite wet, but there was really nothing to cry about. There was a market in the town. Klaus Hansen drove there, and Rasmus went along. He sat beside Elsa, both going there and coming home. He was numb from love, but he didn't say a word about it. He ought to say something to me about the matter, thought the girl. And there she was, right. If he won't talk, I'll have to frighten him into it. And soon there was talk at the farm that the richest farmer in the parish had proposed to Elsa. And so he had, but no one knew what answer she had given. Thoughts buzzed around in Rasmus's head. One evening, Elsa put a gold ring on her finger and then asked Rasmus what that signified. Betrothal, he said. And with whom do you think? She asked. With the rich farmer, he said. There, you have hit it, she said, nodding, and then slipped away. But he slipped away too. He went home to his mother's house like a bewildered man and packed his knapsack. He wanted to go out into the wide world. Even his mother's tears couldn't stop him. He cut himself a stick from the old willow and whistled as if he were in a good humor. He was on his way to see the beauty of the whole world. This is a great grief to me, said the mother. But I suppose it is wisest and best for you to go away, so I shall have to put up with it. Have faith in yourself and in our Lord. Then I shall have you back again, merry and happy. He walked along the new highway, and there he saw Johanne come driving with a load of rubbish. She had not noticed him. and he did not wish to be seen by her, so he sat down behind the hedge. There he was hidden, and Johanne drove by. Out into the world he went. No one knew where. His mother thought, "He will surely come home again before a year passes. Now he will see new things and have new things to think about. But then he will fall back into the old folds. They cannot be ironed out with any iron. He has a little too much of his father's disposition. I would rather he had mine, poor child. But he will surely come home again. He cannot forget either me or the house." The mother would wait a year and a day. Else waited only a month, and then she secretly went to the wise woman, Stein Madsdatter, who, besides knowing something about doctoring, could tell fortunes in cards and coffee, and knew more than her Lord's Prayer. She, of course, knew where Rasmus was. She read it in the coffee grounds. He was in a foreign town, but she couldn't read the name of it. In this town, there were soldiers and beautiful ladies. He was thinking of either becoming a soldier or marrying one of the young ladies. This Else could not bear to hear. She would willingly give her savings to buy him back. But no one must know that it was she. And old Stein promised that he would come back. She knew of a charm, a dangerous charm for him. It would work. It was the ultimate remedy. She would set the pot boiling for him, and then, wherever in all the world he was, he would have to come home where the pot was boiling, and his beloved was waiting for him. Months might pass before he came, but come he must if he was still alive. Without peace or rest, night and day, he would be forced to return, over sea and mountain, whether the weather were mild or rough. And even if his feet were ever so tired, he would come home. He had to come home. The moon was in the first quarter. It had to be for the charm to work, said old Stein. It was stormy weather, and the old willow tree creaked. Stein cut a twig from it and tied it in a knot. That would surely help to draw Rasmus home to his mother's house. Moss and house leek were taken from the roof and put in the pot, which was set upon the fire. Else had to tear a leaf out of the psalm book. She tore out the last leaf by chance, that on which the list of errata appeared. That will do just as well, said Stein, and threw it into the pot. Many sorts of things went into the stew, which had to boil and boil steadily until Rasmus came home. The black cock in old Stein's room had to lose its red comb, which went into the pot. Elsa's heavy gold ring went in with it, and that she would never get again, Stein told her beforehand. She was so wise, Stein. Many things that we are unable to name went into the pot, which stood constantly over the flame, or on glowing embers or hot ashes. Only she and Elsa knew about it. Whenever the moon was new, or the moon was on the wane, Elsa would come to her and ask, "Can't you see him coming?" "Much do I know," said Stein, "and much do I see, but the length of the way before him I cannot see. Now he is over the first mountains. Now he is on the sea in bad weather. The road is long through large forests. He has blisters on his feet, and he has fever in his bones, but he must go on." "No, no," said Elsa. "I feel so sorry for him. He cannot be stopped now, for if we stop him, he will drop dead in the road." A year and a day had gone. The moon shone round and big, and the wind whistled in the old tree. A rainbow appeared across the sky in the bright moonlight. "That is a sign to prove what I say," said Stein. "Now Rasmus is coming." But still, he did not come. "The waiting time is long," said Stein. "Now I am tired of this," said Elsa. She seldom visited Steina now, and brought her no more gifts. Her mind became easier, and one fine morning they all knew in the parish that Elsa had said yes to the rich farmer. She went over to look at the house and grounds, the cattle, and the household belongings. All was in good order, and there was no reason to wait with the wedding. It was celebrated with a great party lasting 3 days. There was dancing to the clarinet and violins. No one in the parish was forgotten in the invitations. Mother Ulsa was there too, and when the party came to an end, and the hosts had thanked the guests, and the trumpets had blown, she went home with the leavings from the feast. She had fastened the door only with a peg. It had been taken out, the door stood open, and in the room sat Rasmus. He had returned home, come that very hour. Lord God, how he looked! He was only skin and bone. He was pale and yellow. "Rasmus," said his mother, "is it you I see? How badly you look! But I am so happy in my heart to have you back." And she gave him the good food she had brought home from the party, a piece of the roast and of the wedding cake. He had lately, he said, often thought of his mother, his home, and the old willow tree. It was strange how often in his dreams he had seen the tree and the little bare-footed Johanne. He did not mention Elsa at all. He was ill and had to go to bed. But we do not believe that the pot was the cause of this, or that it had exercised any power over him. Only old Stein and Elsa believed that, but they did not talk about it. Rasmus lay with a fever, an infectious one. For that reason, no one came to the tailor's house except Johanne, the shoemaker's daughter. She cried when she saw how miserable Rasmus was. The doctor wrote a prescription for him to have filled at the pharmacy. he would not take the medicine. "What good will it do?" he said. "You will get well again then," said his mother. "Have faith in yourself and in our Lord. If I could only see you get flesh on your body again, hear you whistle and sing. For that I would willingly lay down my life." And Rasmus was cured of his illness, but his mother contracted it. Our Lord summoned her, and not him. It was lonely in the house. He became poorer and poorer. "He is worn out," they said in the parish. Poor Rasmus. He had led a wild life on his travels. That, and not the black pot that had boiled, had sucked out his marrow and given him pain in his body. His hair became thin and gray. He was too lazy to work. "What good will it do?" he said. He would rather visit the tavern than the church. One autumn evening, he was staggering through rain and wind along the muddy road from the tavern to his house. His mother had long since gone and been laid in her grave. The swallows and starlings were also gone, faithful as they were. Johanne, the shoemaker's daughter, was not gone. She overtook him on the road and then followed him a little way. "Pull yourself together, Rasmus. What good will it do?" he said. "That is an awful saying that you have," said she. "Remember your mother's words. Have faith in yourself and in our Lord. You do not, Rasmus, but you must, and you shall. Never say, 'What good will it do?' For then you pull up the root of all your doings." She followed him to the door of his house, and there she left him. He did not stay inside. He wandered out under the old willow tree and sat on a stone from the overturned milepost. The wind whistled in the tree's branches. It was like a song. It was like talk. Rasmus answered it. He spoke aloud, but no one heard him except the tree and the whistling wind. "I am getting so cold. It is time to go to bed. Sleep, sleep." And he walked away, not toward the house, but over to the ditch, where he tottered and fell. Rain poured down, and the wind was icy cold. But he didn't feel this. When the sun rose and the crows flew over the bulrushes, he awoke, deathly ill. Had he laid his head where he put his feet, he would never have arisen. The green duckweed would have been his burial sheet. Later in the day, Johanne came to the tailor's house. She helped him. She managed to get him to the hospital. "We have known each other since we were little," she said. "Your mother gave me both ale and food. For that I can never repay her. You will regain your health. You will be a man with a will to live." And our Lord willed that he should live, but he had his up and downs, both in health and mind. The swallows and the starlings returned, and flew away and returned again. Rasmus became older than his years. He sat alone in his house, which deteriorated more and more. He was poor, poorer now than Johanne. "You have no faith," she said. "And if we do not believe in God, what have we?" "You should go to communion," she said. "You haven't been since your confirmation." "What good will it do?" he said. "If you say that and believe it, then let it be. The Master does not want an unwilling guest at his table. But think of your mother and your childhood. Once you were a good, pious boy. Let me read a psalm to you." "What good will it do?" he said. "It always comforts me," she answered. "Johanne, you have surely become one of the saints." And he looked at her with dull, weary eyes. And Johanne read the psalm, but not from a book, for she had none. She knew it by heart. "Those were beautiful words," he said, "but I could not follow you altogether. My head feels so heavy." Rasmus had become an old man, but Elsa, if we may mention her, was no longer young either. Rasmus never mentioned her. She was a grandmother. Her granddaughter was an impudent little girl. The little one was playing with the other children in the village. Rasmus came along, supporting himself on his stick. He stopped, watched the children play, and smiled to them. Old times were in his thoughts. Elsa's granddaughter pointed at him. "Poor Rasmus," she shouted. The other little girls followed her example. "Poor Rasmus," they shouted, and pursued the old man with shrieks. It was a gray, gloomy day, and many others followed. But after gray and gloomy days, there comes a sunshiny day. It was a beautiful Whitsunday morning. The church was decorated with green birch branches. There was a scent of the woods within it, and the sun shone on the church pews. The large altar candles were lighted, and communion was being held. Johanne was among the kneeling, but Rasmus was not among them. That very morning, the Lord had called him. In God are grace and mercy. Many years have since passed. The tailor's house still stands there, but no one lives in it. It might fall the first stormy night. The ditch is overgrown with bulrush and buckbean. The wind whistles in the old tree. It is as if one were hearing a song. The wind sings it. The tree tells it. If you do not understand it, ask old Johanne in the poorhouse. She still lives there. She sings her psalm, the one she read for Rasmus. She thinks of him. Praise to our Lord for him. She, the faithful soul. She can tell of bygone times, of memories that whistle in the old willow tree. The gate key. Every key has a history, and there are many kinds of keys. A Chamberlain's key, a watch key, St. Peter's key. We could tell you about all the keys, but now we will only tell about the counselor's gate key. It had come in a being at a locksmith's, but it might well have believed it had been made by a blacksmith, the way the man had worked on it with hammer and file. It was too large for one's trouser pocket, so it had to be put into the overcoat pocket. There it often lay in utter darkness, yet it had its own special hanging place on the wall, beside a childhood silhouette of the counselor, in which he looked like a dumpling dressed in a frilled shirt. It is said that every human being acquires in his character and conduct something from the astrological sign under which he has been born, such as the bull, the virgin, or scorpion, as they are called in the almanacs. The counselor's wife never mentioned the names of any of these. She said that her husband was born under the sign of the wheelbarrow, for he always had to be pushed on. His father had pushed him into an office, his mother had pushed him into matrimony, and his wife had pushed him on to become a counselor. The latter fact, however, she did not mention, being a good, sensible sort of woman who kept quiet in the right place and spoke and pushed in the right place. He was now along in years, well proportioned, as he said himself, a well-read man, good-natured, and key-wise as well, which is something we shall better understand later. He was always in a good humor, loved all mankind, and liked to talk to everybody. If he went into the city, it was difficult to get him home again when his wife was not with him to push him along. He simply had to talk to every acquaintance he met. He had a lot of acquaintances, and this often made him late for dinner. Mrs. Counselor would sit at the window and watch for him. "Here he comes," she would say to the maid. "Put the pot on the fire. Now he has stopped to speak to somebody, so take the pot off, or the food will be cooked too much. Now he is finally coming, so put the pot on again." But then he wouldn't come, after all. He would stand right under the windows of the house and nod up to her, and if an acquaintance happened to come by then, he could not keep from saying a few words to him. If while he was talking to this one, another one came by, he would take hold of the first by the buttonhole, clasp the other's hand, and shout to a third who wanted to pass by. This was a heavy trial for the patience of the counselor's wife. "Counselor! Counselor!" she would shout. Yes, indeed, that man was born under the sign of the wheelbarrow. He won't move unless he is being pushed. He was very fond of visiting bookshops and looking at books and periodicals. He would give his bookseller a small amount of money for the privilege of reading the new books at home, which meant he had permission to cut the leaves of the books along the side, but not across the top, for then they could not be sold as new. He was a living newspaper, but a harmless one, and knew everything about engagements, weddings and funerals, book talk and town talk. Yes, and he even gave out mysterious hints regarding matters no one else knew anything about. This mysterious information came from the gate key. The counselor and his wife had lived in their own house since young and newly married, and they'd had that very same gate key since then. But in those days, they hadn't yet come to know of its unusual powers, and not until much later had they learned of these. It was at the time of King Frederick VI. Copenhagen had no gas then. It had only train oil lamps. It had no Tivoli gardens, no casino theater, no streetcars, and no railways. It had very few public amusements compared with what it now has. On Sundays, one would go for a walk out beyond the city gates to the assistant's churchyard, read the inscriptions on the graves, sit down in the grass, eat from one's food basket, and drink a glass of schnapps. Or one would go to Fredericksburg, where in front of the palace military music was played, and many people would go to see the royal family rowing about in the small, narrow canals of the park, with old King himself steering the boat, and he and the Queen greeting everyone, without distinction of rank. Well-to-do families from the city would come to this place and drink their afternoon tea. They could get hot water at a small farmhouse in the field outside the park, but they had to bring their own tea service along. One sunny Sunday afternoon, the counselor and his wife went out to the park, the servant girl walking in front with the tea service, a basket of food, and a sip of Spendrup's liqueur. "Bring the gate key, Mrs. Counselor had said, so we can get in by ourselves when we return. You know, they lock the gate here at nightfall, and the bell cord was broken this morning. It will be late before we get home. After we've been in Fredericksburg Park, we are going to the Cassortes Theater at Vesterbro to see the pantomime Harlequin, Chief of the Thrashers. You see them come down in a cloud. It costs 2 kroner a person." And so they went to Fredericksburg, heard the music, saw the royal barges with their waving banners, saw the old king and the white swans. After drinking some very good tea, they hurried away. Yet they did not arrive at the theater on time. The rope dance act was finished, the dance on stilts was finished, and the pantomime had started. As always, they were too late, and that was the counselor's fault. Every moment on the road, he had stopped to speak to an acquaintance. Within the theater, he also found several good friends, and when the performance was over, he and his wife were obliged to accompany a family home at Vesterbro to enjoy a glass of punch. They would stop for only 10 minutes. But this was extended to a whole hour. They talked and talked. Especially entertaining was a Swedish baron, or perhaps he was German, for the counselor hadn't quite caught which. But on the other hand, the trick with the key that the Baron taught him, he caught and always remembered. This trick was extraordinarily interesting. He could get the key to answer everything that one asked it, even questions pertaining to the most secret matters. The counselor's gate key was particularly suitable for performing this trick. Its bit was heavy, and this part had to hang downward. The Baron let the handle of the key rest on the forefinger of his right hand. There it hung loosely and lightly, and every pulse beat in his finger could put it into motion and make it swing. And if this failed to happen, the Baron understood how unnoticeably to make it turn as he wished. Every turn denoted a letter of the alphabet, and as many letters as desired, from A on through the alphabet, could be indicated by the key. When the first letter of a word was revealed, the key would turn to the opposite side. Then the next letter would be sought, and in that manner one got whole words, sentences, and answers to questions. It was all a fake, but at any rate provided amusement. This was the counselor's first thought, but he did not retain it. He became very engrossed in the key. "Husband, husband," cried Mrs. Counselor. "The west gate closes at 12 o'clock. We won't get through. We have only a quarter of an hour in which to hurry there." They had to hurry indeed. Several persons who were going into the city soon got ahead of them. They finally approached the outside guardhouse as the clock was striking 12, and the gates were being slammed shut. A number of people were locked out, and among these were the counselor and his wife, with their servant girl, tea service, and empty food basket. Some stood there greatly frightened, while others were very annoyed, each reacting in his own manner. What could be done? Fortunately, an ordinance had been passed of late that one of the city gates, the North Gate, should not be locked at night, and there pedestrians were allowed to slip through the guardhouse into the city. The road to the North Gate was by no means short, but the weather was fine, the sky bright with starlight and shooting stars. The frogs were croaking in the ditches and ponds. The party began singing and sang one song after another. But the counselor did not sing, nor did he look up at the stars, or even look at his own feet. He then fell down at the edge of the ditch, the full length of his body alongside it. One might have thought that he had had too much to drink, but it was not the punch. It was the key that had gone to his head and kept on turning there. They finally reached the North Gate guardhouse, slipped across the bridge, and into the city. "Now I am happy again," said the counselor's wife. "Here's our gate. But where is the gate key?" said the counselor. It was neither in the back pocket nor in the side pocket. "Good gracious!" cried the counselor's wife. "Haven't you got the key? You must have lost it after letting the Baron use it for the key trick. How will we get in now? You know the bell cord was broken this morning, and the watchman doesn't have a key to our home. We are in a hopeless situation." The servant girl began to cry. The counselor was the only one who showed presence of mind. "We must break in a window pane at the grocer's downstairs," he said. "Get him up, and then we can get into the building." He broke one pane. He broke two. "Peterson!" he shouted, as he put the handle of his umbrella in through the window panes. Whereupon the grocer's daughter began to scream loudly. The grocer threw open the door of his shop and shouted, "Watchman!" And before he had a chance to see and recognize the counselor's family and let them in, the watchman blew his whistle. And in the next street, another watchman answered and whistled. People appeared in the windows. "Where is the fire? Where is the cause of all the excitement?" they asked. And were still asking such questions even after the counselor was in his room. There he removed his overcoat, and in it lay the gate key, not in the pocket, but inside the lining. It had slipped through a hole that should not have been in the pocket. From that night on, the gate key held a unique and great importance, not only when it was taken out in the evening, but also when remaining at home. For in either case, the counselor would show how clever he was by making the key answer questions. He would think of the most likely answer and then pretend to let the key give it. Finally, he himself came to believe in the power of the key. That was not so of the pharmacist, however, a young man closely related to the counselor's wife. The pharmacist had a good head, a critical mind. He had, as mere schoolboy, sent in critical articles on books and the theater, but without his signature, which is always important. He was what one calls a bel esprit, but he by no means believed in spirits, and least of all, key spirits. "Yes, I believe, he said. "Blessed Mr. Counselor, I believe in gate keys and all key spirits as firmly as I believe in that new science which is beginning to become known, the table dance and the spirits in old and new furniture. Have you heard about that? I have. I have doubted. You know I am a skeptic, but I have been converted by reading in a quite reliable foreign paper. A dreadful story. Counselor, can you imagine? I will give you the story as I read it. Two clever children had seen their parents raise the spirits in a large dining room table. The little ones were alone and decided they would try, in the same manner, to rub life into an old chest of drawers. Life came, for a spirit was awakened, but it did not tolerate the commands of mere children. It arose, and the chest of drawers creaked. It then shot out the drawers and with its wooden legs put each of the children in a separate drawer. The chest of drawers then ran off with them, out the open door, down the stairs, into the street, and over to the canal, where it jumped out into the water and drowned both the children. Their little bodies were given Christian burial, but the chest of drawers was taken to the town hall, tried for murder, and burned alive in the marketplace. "I have read this," said the pharmacist, "in a foreign paper. It is not something I have invented myself. This is the truth, and may the key take me if it isn't. I swear to it, on my oath." The counselor found that such talk was all too much like a coarse joke. The two could never speak agreeably about the key. The pharmacist was key ignorant. The counselor made progress in his key knowledge. The key was his diversion and channel of wisdom. One evening, as the counselor was getting ready to go to bed and was half undressed, there was a knock on the front door. It was the shopkeeper from downstairs who was calling at this late hour. He too was half undressed, but he had suddenly had a thought, he said, which he was afraid he would not be able to retain through the night. "It is my daughter, Lotte Len, I must talk about. She is a beautiful girl and has been confirmed, and now I would like to see her well provided for. But I am not as yet a widower," said the counselor, and chuckled, "and I have no son to offer her." "You must understand me, counselor," said the man from downstairs. "She can play the piano, and she can sing. You must be able to hear her upstairs. You have no idea of all the things that little girl is able to do. She can talk and entertain people. She is made for the stage, and that is a good course for pretty girls of good families to take. They may even have an opportunity to marry a count, though neither I nor Lotte Lene are thinking of that. She can indeed sing and play the piano, so the other day I took her up to the singing school. She sang, but she doesn't have a beer bass, as I call it in women, nor does she shriek those very high canary bird notes which they now demand in singers. And so they advised her strongly against pursuing that career. Well, I thought, if she can't become a singer, she can always become an actress. That only requires the ability to speak. Today, I talked about it to the instructor, as they call him. "Is she well read?" he asked. "No," I said, "not at all." "But it is necessary for an actress to be well read," said he. "She still has time for that," was my opinion. And then I went home. She can go to a rental library and read what is to be had there, I thought. But then, tonight, while I was undressing, it occurred to me, why rent books when one can borrow them? The counselor has plenty of books. Let her read them. There is enough reading here for her, and it could be hers gratis. Lotte Len is a nice girl," said the counselor. "A beautiful girl. She shall have books to read. But has she what one calls grit and spirit, aptitude, genius? And what is equally important, has she luck with her?" "She has twice won in the lottery," said the grocer from downstairs. "Once she won a clothes cabinet, and another time 6 pairs of bed sheets. That I call luck, and that she has." "I shall ask the key," said the counselor, and he placed the key on his right forefinger, and on the grocer's right forefinger as well. And then the key swung and gave out letter after letter. The key said, "Victory and luck." And so Lotte Lene's future was decided. The counselor at once gave her 2 books to read. Die Weg and Knigge's Social Intercourse. That night marked the beginning of a closer acquaintance between Lotte Lene and the counselor and his wife. She would come upstairs to the couple, and the counselor found her to be a sensible girl. She believed in him and the key. The counselor's wife saw something childish and innocent in the frankness with which she would at every moment show her great ignorance. The couple was fond of her, he in his way, and she in hers. And Lotte Lene was fond of them. "It smells so lovely upstairs," Lotte Lene would say. There was an odor, a fragrance, an apple fragrance in the hallway where the counselor's wife had put away a whole barrel of gray stone apples. There was also an incense odor of roses and lavender throughout all the rooms. "There is something refined in that," Lotte Lene would say. Then, too, her eyes were pleased by the many pretty flowers the counselor's wife always had, even in the middle of winter. Lilacs and cherry tree slips bloomed here. The leafless twigs were cut off and put into water, and in the warm room soon bore leaves and flowers. One would have thought that all life was gone from these naked branches, but see how they rise from the dead. "It has never occurred to me before," said Lotte Lene. "How wonderful nature is." And the counselor let her look at his key book, in which were written strange things the key had said, even about the half of an apple cake that had disappeared from the cupboard on the very evening that the servant girl had had her sweetheart there for a visit. The counselor had asked his key, "Who has eaten the apple cake, the cat or the sweetheart?" And the key had replied, "The sweetheart." The counselor had already thought so before asking the key, and the servant girl had confessed, "That cursed key knows everything." "Yes, isn't it strange?" said the counselor. That key, and about Lotte Lene it has said, "Victory and luck." That we shall see, I swear to it. "That's wonderful," said Lotte Lene. The counselor's wife was not so confident, but she did not express her doubts when her husband was within hearing distance. She later told Lotte-Lene in confidence that the counselor, when a young man, had been quite taken with the theater. Had someone pushed him a little in that direction, he surely would have become an actor. His family, however, had pushed him in the opposite direction. But he had still aspired to the stage, and to further that ambition, he had written a play. This is a great secret that I am entrusting you with, little Lotte-Lene. The play was not bad. It was accepted at the Royal Theatre, and then hissed out, and no one has since heard of it, for which I am glad. I am his wife, and know him. Now you want such a career, too. I wish you all that is good. But I don't think that things will work out as predicted. I don't believe in the gate key. Lotte-Lene believed in it, and in that belief she was united with the counselor. Within their hearts they had a mutual understanding in all honor and chastity. The girl had many qualifications that the counselor's wife valued. Lotte-Lene knew how to make starch from potatoes, make silk gloves from old silk stockings, and recover her silk dancing shoes, although she could afford to buy all her clothes new. She had, as the grocer said, pennies in the table drawer and credit notes in her money safe. She would make just the wife for the pharmacist, thought the counselor's wife, but she did not say so, and of course didn't permit the key to say anything about it. The pharmacist was going to settle down soon and have his own pharmacy in one of the nearest and largest provincial towns. Lotte-Lene was continually reading Die Weke and Knige's Social Intercourse. She kept the 2 books for 2 years, and by the end of that time, she had learned one, Die Weke, by heart. All the parts, although she wished to play only one, that of Die Weke. She did not, however, want to appear at first in the capital, where there is so much envy, and where they would not have her anyway. She wanted to start her artistic career, as the counselor called it, in one of the country's large provincial towns. Now that, strangely enough, turned out to be the same place where the youthful pharmacist had settled down as the youngest of the town's pharmacists. The great, long-awaited night came on which Lotte-Lene was to make her debut and have victory and luck, as the key had said. The counselor was not there, for he lay in his bed and his wife was nursing him. He had to have warm napkins and chamomile tea, the napkins about his body and the tea in his body, while the couple was absent from the Die Weke performance. The pharmacist was there and wrote a letter about it to his relative, the counselor's wife. Die Weke's ruff was the best thing about it, he wrote. If I had had the counselor's gate key in my pocket, I would have pulled it out and used it as a whistle. she deserved it, and the key deserved it, because of its nasty lie about her victory and luck. The counselor read the letter. It was all spitefulness, he said, key hatred, aimed at that innocent girl. And as soon as he was out of bed and was himself again, he sent a short but poisonous note to the pharmacist, who in turn replied, as if he had seen only jest and good humor in the whole epistle. He thanked him for this, and for any future contribution to the revelation of the incomparable worth and significance of keys. Next, he confided to the counselor that apart from his activities as an apothecary, he was writing a great key novel in which all the characters were keys and keys alone. A gate key, naturally, was the central character, and patterned after the counselor's gate key, was gifted with prophetic vision and second sight. Around this, all the other keys had to revolve. The old chamberlain's key, experienced in the splendor and festivity of the court. The watch key, small, refined, and distinguished, but worth only a few pennies at the ironmonger's. The key to the church pew, which counted itself among the clergy, and which, from remaining one night in its keyhole in the church, could see ghosts. The larder key, the wine cellar key, and the coal cellar key all appeared, and bowed before, and turned around the gate key. The sunbeams brightened it into silver, and the wind, that spirit of the earth, entered its body and made it whistle. It was the key of all keys. It was the counselor's gate key. It was now the key of the heavenly gate itself. It was the papal key. It was infallible. Wickedness, said the counselor. Great wickedness. He and the pharmacist never saw each other again, except once, and that was at the funeral of the counselor's wife. She was the first to die. There were sorrow and emptiness in the house. Even the slips of cherry, which had thrown out fresh roots and flowers, seemed to mourn and fade away. They stood forgotten, for she was not there to tend them. The counselor and the pharmacist walked behind her coffin, side by side, as the two nearest relations of the departed. This was not the time, nor were they in the mood, for quarreling. Lotte tied the mourning crepe around the counselor's hat. She was living in the house again, having long since returned without victory and luck in her career. Yet that still might come. Lotte had a future before her. The key had said so, and the counselor had said so. She went up to him. They talked about the departed, and they wept, for Lotte was tender-hearted. But when they talked about the art, Lotte felt strong. Life in the theater is charming, she said, but there is so much nonsense and envy. I would rather go my own way, myself first, then art. Nigga had told the truth in his chapter about actors that she was aware of. The key had not told the truth, but she never spoke of this to the counselor. She was fond of him. Besides, the gate key was his comfort and relief during the whole year of mourning. He gave it questions, and it gave him answers. And when the year had passed, and he and Lotelen were sitting together one inspiring evening, he asked the key, "Will I marry? And whom will I marry?" No one pushed him, but he pushed the key, and it answered, "Lotelen." So it was said, and Lotelen became Mrs. Counselor. Victory and luck! And these words had been said before by the gate key.